are key to mobile phones and at-home assistants like Amazon Alexa, Google Home, and Apple HomePod. Imagine your customers asking a question using a voice command and then a device reading the answer back. Your content could be the answer. Google prioritizes video results for mobile devices, especially videos on YouTube. 70% of searches will be on mobile devices by 2020. And if your company competes in any way with Amazon, video is a great way to sidestep the e-commerce giant. Google competes in many ways with Amazon, and Google owns YouTube. As a result, you don't see many Amazon videos there. So to grow your audience, take your SEO from so-so to super. Signal your reputation, build links back to your content, and offer content in formats for mobile and home assistants. That way, when customers ask a question, your content will be there, ready to advise. How do you get your great content in front of more people like your customers? Publishing it on your website and promoting it over email and social media helps, but there's still more that you can do, and it's called content distribution. So I'm going to walk through how you can take advantage of content distribution to expand your content marketing. But first, let's review what content distribution is. If you did a search right now on the term, you'd see many articles echoing each other, and they'd say content distribution is owned, earned, and paid media. In other words, owned is putting the content on your website, earned is a customer shares a link to your content on LinkedIn, and paid is your ad for some content on Facebook. I find this definition outdated and confusing. It doesn't distinguish between promoting and distributing content. In my view, content distribution is about delivering the content itself. And as your content marketing program matures, you can make your content distribution more sophisticated. One way to expand your content distribution is to license it to other websites or publications with an audience similar to yours. This is called sometimes content syndication. For instance, American Marketing Association has licensed some content from my online magazine, Content Science Review. And Content Science Review has licensed some content from CMO.com by Adobe. As another example, the NewsCred Insights blog publishes licensed content from Ad Age, Fast Company, and others. In all of these examples, licensing helped expand the content's reach. Another way to grow your content distribution is to offer a new format that would work well in new distribution channels. And if your content marketing has been successful so far, it won't be hard to find a great partner if you need it. For GE, that partner was the Panoply Podcast Network to produce a sci-fi podcast called The Message. As another example, REI teamed up with Hearst Magazines on Uncommon Path, a quarterly print magazine that builds on REI's extensive blog. Joining forces with experts in audio and print production enabled these brands to take their content to the next level. So if you're serious about expanding the reach of your content marketing, get serious about content distribution. Find new ways to deliver the content itself. Explore opportunities to license your content and to offer it in new formats suited for new platforms. And get ready to see your audience grow. Technology executive Marissa Mayer once said, "The future is personalization." It's a future that's quickly becoming now, and you can take advantage of it to make your content marketing more powerful. To help you start, I'm going to walk through 3 key elements of personalizing content experiences. The first element is data about your customers. This data can fall into a few categories. One is demographics, such as age. Another category is preferences, such as interests customers select in their profile. And the third is behavioral data, such as what your customers have bought. If you don't have much of that data available right now, then consider adding a customer profile to your content marketing experience so you can gather this data. An effective example is HubSpot. To access content like ebooks, customers give HubSpot their contact details and other professional information like the name and size of their employer. The second element of content personalization is data about your content. I also call this content intelligence. This is understanding how your content performs and why. For personalization, focus on understanding what content topics and formats resonate with what types of customers at what point in their journey. See whether any patterns emerge. For instance, infographics may be popular with beginners, while webinars may be more suited to users with a deeper understanding of the subject. The third element is logic to drive the personalization. I sometimes call this applying the Amazon effect to your content. Amazon offers highly personalized suggestions, recommendations, messages, and more for products. You want to do that for your content, and logic is how you do it. At its essence, logic is an if-then statement that can guide your content management or development team as they code the personalization. For instance, if you visit an article on Content Science Review, you will get suggestions to visit another article about the topic, another article by the same author, and an article about a related topic. So personalization is a powerful way to connect the right customers with the right content. Assess what data you have, then start using it to tailor content suggestions and more for your customers. When you personalize, your content marketing takes a huge leap toward reaching its potential. The World Wide Web is doubling in size every 2 years. That's a lot of content for your customers to wade through. Instead of making your customers navigate or search, bring content to your customers through personalization. So let's take a look at 3 ways personalization can make your content easier for your customers to discover. One way is to send your customers an email with suggested content. You can base the suggestion on who they are, or their preferences, or their past behavior. For instance, after a subscriber to Gartner's research portal visits content, Gartner sends an email with suggestions for related articles within a day. This is a great way to keep your customers coming back to your content too. Another approach to personalizing content discovery is to recommend content on your website or mobile app. Again, you can base the suggestion on who they are, or their preferences, or their past behavior. Take a cue from outstanding media experiences like Harvard Business Review, Netflix, and Hulu. All of these experiences include prominent recommendations. In fact, the majority of Netflix's interface is recommendations based on the customer's preferences and viewing history. Searching and traditional navigation are much less prominent. And a third way is to send customers a reminder or insight by text or email. A functional interaction can become something much more. For example, automation tool Zapier sends a nudge to new customers who haven't set up any integrations yet. This nudge suggests use cases and offers relevant case studies to inspire using Zapier the way similar customers have. So your customers face more content than ever before. Make finding your content easier through personalization. When you connect the right content with the right customers, your content marketing will have huge impact. Every piece of content you create should spur customers to feel, think, or do something in response. If your content doesn't engage customers, they won't consume or retain your message, and your content marketing won't have much impact. The good news is personalization can make your content much more engaging. So let's look at 3 places you can harness personalization to boost engagement. The first place is your website. As your customers engage with your content, you can tailor the experience so they keep engaging. For example, L'Oréal Paris collects information about visitors as they browse, such as skin type or hair color. The website then displays relevant how-to content based on that knowledge. You also can take a cue from media websites to customize your homepage based on a customer's history. A music buff might see a concert review headlines first, while a news junkie sees political headlines. In a similar way, you can prioritize the display of content based on what likely interests your customers. So now let's turn to email, which is a great way to engage your customers and drive them back to your website. You can segment your email list so it's easier to tailor content in your emails. For instance, you could segment your list by geographic location, or by role, or by other characteristics. And a third place to personalize content for engagement is in a mobile application. 96% of Americans own a smartphone, making this an unrivaled medium to reach people with relevant content. Again, I think marketers can take a cue from media here. Consider the Weather Channel. When a hurricane or snowstorm hits, people head straight to the Weather Channel mobile app. But what about sunny days? Not so much. So the Weather Channel decided to delight and engage app users by delivering personalized content for more types of weather and for weather holidays like the countdown to an eclipse. The result was increased performance across their priority metrics, such as visits per user and retention. So if your content marketing isn't on your company's mobile app, consider adding it. One of the most effective ways to do that is personalization on your website, email, and mobile application. When customers engage often, your content marketing will have an impact that lasts. Wouldn't it be awesome to delight your customers so much you make them say, wow? Well, you can do exactly that thanks to personalization. When you have personalization basics in place, you can start to create wow moments. So to help you think of ideas, I'm going to review 3 types of wow moments. One type of wow moment is the year-end review. When customers engage with your company and your content throughout the year, you learn a lot about them. You can use what you learn to deliver a brief report or retrospective to your customers. And you can time this at the end of the calendar year or on an anniversary date, such as the date your customer subscribed. For instance, Boomerang sends out a year-end email that recaps how much time users have saved using its service and how many emails they've scheduled. If your customers interact with your company and content often, then you can do this type of review more often. Fitbit, for example, sends an email called Week in Review. So let's turn to another type of wow moment, a big accomplishment. When customers do something great, give them kudos. If you turn your thought leadership content into training or an academy, you have lots of opportunity to congratulate your customers. For instance, the Shopify Academy offers a number of free courses on building a profitable business and encourages learners every step of the way. And finally, let's talk about a third type of wow moment, an amazing insight. Offer a fact, benchmark, or suggestion that's both useful and highly relevant to your customers. And do it at an opportune moment. Let's revisit Fitbit. The system serves up timely insights, such as the fact that walking is linked to longer life expectancy, and recommends workouts that adapt and evolve based on an individual's recorded activity. So take a cue from Fitbit. Use personalization to craft at least one special moment in your content marketing. You'll reward your customers for sharing more about themselves with you. And don't be surprised if your delighted customers say, wow. Content marketing is the ultimate team sport. As your program grows, so will your team. If you manage your team well, your content marketing will achieve more than you thought possible. So I'm sharing 3 tips to manage your team. The first tip is to define a clear vision. In my survey and interviews with nearly 200 content professionals, vision emerged as the top quality desired in a content leader. So take time to consider where your content marketing program is going and communicate that to your team. For instance, when David Beebe established the Marriott Content Studio, he declared the vision as being the Red Bull of travel. And by the way, if you haven't checked out Red Bull Media, I highly recommend it as a great example of content marketing. Let's turn to the second tip for managing your content marketing team. Communicate progress in achieving the vision or goal. The book, The Progress Principle, outlines lots of research explaining why and how seeing progress motivates people. And I guarantee it will motivate your content team. So take the time to celebrate small wins and big milestones. Also give your team access to data about the impact of their content on your customers. I also call this content intelligence. When your team sees that their efforts make a difference to your company and to your customers, their performance will know no bounds. The third tip is to cultivate trust in your team as they make progress. My research found that trust is a top success factor for content teams. Your team needs to feel they have a safe place to explore creative ideas and solutions to problems. Teach your team members to give and receive feedback on content in constructive ways. Show that you trust your team by not micromanaging them. And it's important for your team to feel if they try an ambitious idea and fail, you have their back. Also advocate for your team with stakeholders. You are the ambassador for content marketing at your company. How cool is that? You represent the team. Do so in a way that makes your team proud. So there is no I in content. To take your content marketing to the next level, you need to manage your team effectively. Set a clear vision, communicate progress in achieving that vision, and cultivate trust. Your team will reward you and your company with incredible performance. Here's the great news. There are more than 7,000 technologies available to advance your content marketing. Here's the bad news. There are more than 7,000 technologies available to help with your content marketing. Choosing the right ones can feel like a daunting task. So I'm going to walk through an approach to help you choose technology that will scale your content marketing. First, identify the goals or pain points where you think technology can help. This will help you focus your selection on what you really need and avoid being overwhelmed. For instance, if you find your team spends a lot of time following up with people who are supposed to review your content, you want to focus on technology that can help streamline your workflow. As your content marketing program scales, technology will be especially helpful in 3 areas. Those areas are content operations, content intelligence, and content delivery. Second, conduct a gap analysis of your current technologies. This is matching up what your current technologies can do with your goals and pain points. If you need something that your current technologies can't do, you have a gap. For example, if you want to offer personalized content suggestions to your customers, but your current content management system can't do that, you have a gap. To help jumpstart your gap analysis, I've made a worksheet available for you to download. Third, review options with your technology team. It's common these days for marketers to buy technology, but be a good partner to your technology team. I find content marketing technology works best when it integrates well with technologies your company already has. Your technology team can advise on what will integrate best, and they'll be more likely to make that integration smooth if you involve them up front. So the reality is this. One technology will not do it all for your content marketing. Conduct a gap analysis between what you need and what your current technologies can do. Then make your choices in partnership with your technology team. With the right technologies in place, your content marketing will be ready to scale. Content marketing is not a solo endeavor. To scale and succeed, you need the right people on your team, and you need them in the right roles. And to keep things interesting, those roles will change as your content marketing gets more sophisticated. So let's review 3 types of roles to consider adding or evolving. First, let's talk about specialist roles. As your content marketing program becomes more sophisticated, chances are you'll need more specialists. You probably have writers, editors, designers, and producers in place. That's great. But consider adding a content analyst to help turn data about your content marketing into actionable insight. If you can add only one specialist, this is the one to add. Personally, if I ever won the lottery, I wouldn't hire a cook or a butler. I'd hire a content analyst to help me get constant insight about content. Also consider hiring a content strategist to identify new opportunities and to use content in savvy ways. For example, a content strategist helped the Weather Channel identify new ways to engage their audience. And finally, you might need a content engineer or two to architect rules and define taxonomy for things like personalization and automation. The great thing about specialist roles is people who are already on your team might be interested in those roles. So instead of hiring them from the outside, you can get your team training to take on those roles. For instance, I once helped a large telecommunications company train some writers and editors to become content strategists. So specializations can be career growth opportunities for your team. Okay, so now let's talk about management roles. As your team grows, you might need to add more content marketing managers or train the ones you have. One thing that is constant in content is change, and that change is amplified if your company is growing or adapting. So I highly recommend either hiring a manager with change management experience or getting your managers training in it. And last, let's talk about content marketing leadership roles. Content marketing is such a big deal that it's becoming more common for companies to hire an executive role. This role advocates for content marketing with other leadership and sets long-term direction for the content marketing program. PepsiCo, Microsoft, J.Crew, and Marriott are only some of the companies that have created executive content roles. And that's great news for you. Content marketing can be a long-lasting career path. As you lead your content marketing program to more success, you can propose an executive role at your current company. Or you can seek an executive role somewhere else. I see a new one posted just about every day on LinkedIn. So as your content marketing grows, assemble a constellation of stars who can make your program shine. Consider whether you need more specialists and managers. And don't miss your opportunity to take your leadership to the next level. Reduce, reuse, recycle. It's good for the environment, and it's good for your content marketing. Savvy content marketers know how to make the most of their resources and assets. So let's walk through 3 ways you can get even more bang for your content buck. The first way is curation. By this I mean promoting old content because it has new relevance for your customers. For instance, the Home Depot has a wealth of useful guides about gardening. Do you think they recreate all of that content every spring? Of course not. Instead, when spring rolls around, the Home Depot creates some new guides and curates many old guides. Of course, by old content, I don't mean outdated or inaccurate. I simply mean content you created in the past that is still high quality. Curation is also handy for responding to a trend or a crisis. For instance, many people didn't pay much attention to the European Union's privacy regulations known as GDPR when they were debated. But MailChimp did, and they created useful articles about it. When the regulations were enforced, most companies scrambled to comply quickly. But MailChimp didn't scramble to respond. They curated content that was already on hand. So let's move on to a second way to make the most of your content assets. It's to reuse your content in a different context. This is putting content you created for your content marketing in a new scenario, such as customer service or support. For example, I once worked with an online retailer in the foot health space to create useful content for customers researching foot conditions. This content helped early in their journey to buy. That was great. But we realized that content also would be useful to customers after they bought. So we started using some of that content in confirmation and follow-up emails, which did a great job of preventing returns and encouraging repeat sales. So the third way to maximize your content is to repackage it in a different format. When you don't have to start from scratch, you save a lot of time and resources in creating a new content format. For instance, Intercom repackaged a research report on the history of messaging into a very cool interactive infographic, as well as a print book. As another example, Tennessee Valley Authority has an amazing archive of photos and video taken throughout its 86-year history. TVA combined those assets with new video to bring its history to life. So advanced content marketers love to use existing quality content in new ways. As your content marketing program grows, take advantage of opportunities to curate, reuse, and repackage your content assets, and watch your return on content investment skyrocket. Business today is global. Whether you work for a large company or a small business, chances are you do business internationally. That means sooner or later you'll need to make your content marketing work for your global markets. So I'm going to share 3 practical considerations as you take your content marketing around the world. The first is to consider offering content in a different language. And if you do, make sure you offer it in the right language for the people you want to reach. For instance, as Caterpillar approached the China market, they chose their languages carefully. The equipment manufacturer researched what dialects farmers, construction workers, and others who would use the equipment actually spoke. And they chose the most common dialects. If you add another language, then also add more effort to optimize your content for search engines. Moz has fantastic resources to help you do this. So another consideration is adjusting your message. You might find you need to create variations for different global markets. I once worked with a medical tech company, Cerner Corporation, to adapt its message and style for different markets. For instance, Cerner's research indicated their customers in the Middle East responded well to very bold messages, but that bold approach repelled customers in other regions. So we created a brief for each global market that outlined how to adapt the core message and style. And finally, consider whether you need to change your content's presentation. This is about everything from your content's accessibility to its look and feel. Customers in a different country or region might use different devices and social media sites. They also might have different internet and content habits. Don't assume they can and will access your content in the same way your core market does. I suggest looking at research by Hootsuite and Merrymaker's annual predictions. And different regions and cultures respond to colors and styles differently. I once worked on a health content marketing project for several countries in Latin America. We tested our source material, which used very subdued colors, against other options. The option with very bold colors and fonts tested the best, hands down. So if you can, get feedback on samples of your content from customers in the region. Globalization is real for business and is real for your content marketing. Assess whether to change your content language, messaging, and presentation for your global markets. While you might incur some costs, your efforts will pay off with content that customers love around the world. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great. Tom Hanks speaks those words as a coach in the baseball movie A League of Their Own when his best amateur player becomes surprised and overwhelmed by how hard winning at the professional level really is. I find a lot of people who start content marketing are like that baseball player. They get into it because writing stories or shooting videos or taking pictures is fun or rewarding. That's fantastic. But when you go pro, things get hard. One of the hardest things to do in content marketing is to keep a steady supply of effective content in your pipeline. But that's also what will make your content marketing great and win. So first, consider using a content supply chain. A content supply chain is a network of people and activities that take your content from an idea to real articles or videos or other assets. I find people use the term most often to refer to the challenge of creating or sourcing enough content without breaking your budget. For example, when Dun & Bradstreet started their successful content marketing program, the CMO, Rishi Dabe, established a supply chain that involved most of his marketing department. And his mantra was, "It takes a village." In a similar way, if you think about a content supply chain early and involve your coworkers and managers at the start, your content marketing program will be more likely to succeed. So now that you have a sense of what a content supply chain is, I want to highlight a few ways to feed it. The first and obvious way is for you or your team to create the content. That means you take the content from an idea to its final form. For example, the messaging platform Intercom has a team of people devoted to creating useful content. So does the content operations platform Gather Content. As your content marketing takes off, you will quickly find that it's tough to supply enough content this way. You can augment your content supply by having other people create content for you. Consider how other employees, partners, or even your own customers can contribute effective content. The Home Depot is an excellent example of using this approach. The retailer offers guides, tips, and much more created by their store associates and partners with do-it-yourself expertise. And enthusiastic customers offer detailed reviews or inspire others to take on projects like theirs. In a similar way, your company likely has people in its network who are potential sources of useful content. Note that you or your team won't be off the hook completely. You'll need to put in effort, such as provide guidelines, to ensure the content that others produce works for your customers. Let's look at one other way to fill your pipeline. Buy content from others. You can buy anything from photos to content feeds to entire content experiences such as a website. As a simple example, you can buy professional photography from sites like iStock and Getty Images. As a more complex example, in 2011, L'Oreal bought the successful website Makeup.com to jumpstart its content marketing program. As you plan your content supply chain, you can consider when buying might be an advantage. For L'Oreal, the benefit of buying a large content experience was speed. Instead of taking months to build a new site and supply it with quality content, L'Oreal bought a site that was already doing that. So Tom Hanks was right. What makes everything from baseball to content marketing hard to win is what makes it great. Supplying content is much harder than you might expect. But when you plan a content supply chain early, you will more likely conquer the challenge. And you just might win the content marketing game the way Dun & Bradstreet, the Home Depot, and L'Oreal did. Businesses measure what matters. If you want your content marketing to matter to your employer or client, you need to measure its impact. Regularly evaluate how your content marketing makes a difference. To help you start, I'm sharing the 4 S's of assessing advanced content marketing. The first S is subscribers. Watch whether your email and mobile notification opt-ins are growing. A rising number of subscribers is a strong indicator that customers like your content, and they'll return to it regularly. And this list becomes an audience you can always reach, no matter what happens to the algorithms on Google and social media sites. So let's move on to the second S of sentiment. Watch whether customers perceive your content and your company positively. Positive sentiment is a strong indicator that your content is boosting your brand reputation and customer satisfaction. Tools such as Hootsuite and BrandWatch measure sentiment on social media and other channels. Tools such as ContentWorks measure content sentiment on websites and other digital experiences. And tools such as iPerceptions and Foresee can shed light on the connection of content to customer satisfaction. And the third S is sales. This is about the impact your content has on making money. If your content assists in a sale, it helps make money. The challenge is tracking when that happens. And this challenge is even bigger if your business has a long sales cycle because customers might visit your content several times over the course of weeks and months before they actually buy. You can overcome this challenge by adding your content marketing to your company's attribution model. An attribution model is essentially how your company decides to give credit to different touch points in a sale. Your content deserves credit. And after your attribution model is updated, your analytics tools can track it. Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, and HubSpot have great resources to help ensure tracking attribution works well. And the fourth S is self-service. This is about the impact your content has on saving money. If your content answers questions instead of a person, you're probably saving your company money. I find many content marketers overlook this potential benefit of their content. So check whether customers use your content to answer a customer service or technical support question. Your analytics tools as well as a content evaluation tool like ContentWorks can help you verify that. And check whether customer support calls or email inquiries about those questions have decreased. If your content marketing does not impact self-service, that's okay. Your boss is probably more interested in sales impact. But it's worth checking to show the full value of your content marketing. So if you aren't measuring its impact, your content marketing might as well not exist. Advanced content marketers keep an eye on subscribers, sentiment, sales, and self-service. When you show how your content makes a difference, you set your content marketing program up for success. What do companies like Intuit, Netflix, and Google have in common? A culture of optimization. They run literally thousands of experiments and tests each year. The exciting thing is you can create a culture of optimization about your content. Because testing your content takes time and resources, it's wise to focus on areas where change can make a big difference to your goals. So let's look at 3 situations to employ testing to optimize your content's impact. The first situation is making good content performance even better. This is all about making promising content reach its potential. For example, home security company Blink constantly trials different combinations of text and images for its onboarding emails as well as other content. Each winner then faces off against a new version until Blink knows they have the best combination of content. Optimization is just part of business as usual. Similarly, retailer Adore Me tests multiple versions of images and has found that even subtle changes in a model's position can double sales. The second situation is fixing content that's underperforming. Testing can help to identify the cause so you can solve the problem. And it's usually more cost-effective to fix a problem than to scrap the content entirely. For instance, when American Cancer Society ran into an issue with a web page about one of its programs, it looked at the data and realized the page was trying to cater to 2 distinct audiences. In doing so, the content was leaving both groups with more questions than answers, and lots of frustration. So the team successfully reorganized the content and offered pages tailored to each audience. The new approach reduced calls and email inquiries with basic questions about the program, and more importantly, the change helped increase signups to the program. And finally, let's talk about how you can test new content opportunities. If you want to take your content to the next level or capitalize on an opportunity, think about questions such as, how can we meet the interests, needs, and expectations expressed by our customers? How could we package content differently? How could we monetize content more effectively? Netflix is a prime example. After its success with House of Cards, a big experiment there, it has developed new hits ranging from Daredevil to The Crown. And in expanding beyond the US, Netflix has painstakingly translated and localized content for every international market and been rewarded with explosive growth. To help you make optimization part of your content culture, I've included a list of great tools and resources. Optimizely, ContentWorks, and HubSpot are just a few of the tools that can assist. So take inspiration from Intuit, Google, and Netflix. Create a culture of optimization around your content. Focus on making good content perform even better, avoiding costly problems, and taking advantage of new opportunities. Your content will have more impact than you thought possible. Only 33% of content professionals calculate content ROI, but they report the most success and support from their companies. If you want your company to invest more in your content marketing, you need to articulate how it brings a return. So to help you start, I'm going to share 3 elements of formulating ROI. First, get clear about the costs of your content marketing program. In other words, how does your program spend money? Example costs are the people you hire, your tool subscriptions, your advertising spend, and agencies or content partners you hire. If you're not sure, don't be embarrassed. I come across many content marketing professionals who don't know what their budget is. And a lot of times, that's because content marketing started as an experiment, with some leftover money from another budget. The good news is you can fix that. As your content marketing program grows, it's easy to make the case that you need to understand how the program is spending money. Next, identify how your content marketing contributes to revenue. This is why tracking the impact of your content marketing is so important. Calculate how your content marketing makes a difference to sales. For instance, the Home Depot tracks when a customer uses a project guide or buying guide and then eventually makes a purchase. And if you monetize your content in other ways, don't forget to include that. It's still revenue. For example, both Cleveland Clinic and Mayo Clinic earn revenue through advertising on their content, and Red Bull earns revenue through licensing its content. As still another example, Hootsuite charges a fee for its more in-depth training content. Finally, assess additional value that your content marketing brings to the company. This value might seem intangible, but it makes a big difference to the business. For instance, GE has publicly credited content marketing with reinvigorating its reputation after it took a dip in 2014. A strong reputation makes a difference to everything from how well your content ranks in search, to how quickly customers buy from you, to how investors value your stock. If the impact of content marketing on reputation matters to GE, it should matter to your company. So don't be like the 77% of content professionals who ignore ROI. Set your content marketing program up for more investment by explaining how it brings a return. With more of the right resources at your disposal, your content marketing can reach its potential. Congratulations! You are no longer a Jedi Knight of content marketing. You are now a Jedi Master. Your time, training, and concentration will pay off with more content marketing success. And don't be surprised if you accomplish even more than you imagined. Thank you for watching this advanced series. I encourage you to make a habit of trying the new techniques to make your content more compelling, scalable, and effective. These small, regular experiments will add up to big innovation. I also highly recommend Content Marketing Institute, which offers fantastic articles, webinars, podcasts, and a newsletter. And don't miss their annual conference, Content Marketing World, to connect with the industry's movers and shakers. American Marketing Association and Association of National Advertisers also offer excellent webinars and events. And Content Science offers a free online magazine with our original research, as well as contributions from content thought leaders around the world. Check out my book, The Content Advantage, and I suggest the book Content Inc. by Joe Polizzi. As you try advanced content marketing, I can't wait to hear about your success. Reach out with your questions, examples, and stories on LinkedIn, Twitter @LeanJones, or content-science.com. May the content marketing force be with you.